Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. About a week ago, a little over a week ago, Chris Anthony and Audra Leslie did a Q&A session for reservation holders at the Aptera. And I think pretty much all you guys, or most of you guys are reservation holders. For some reason, this is an unlisted video on their channel, but it's been on Reddit and it's already on YouTube on several other channels. So I don't think there's any information here that's proprietary, and it's for all reservation holders, so it's not like protected information. So most of you guys have probably seen it, but I thought we'd want to watch it and go over and talk about it together.
Barbara, she's in Hawaii, asking if she invests into the accelerator program, can you give her a delivery time frame window?
Hey Barbara, awesome to have your support. And when you join the accelerator program, you're actually investing into a program that will get you one of the first 2,000 delivery slots for our vehicles. And we hope to start delivering on those vehicles later in 2024. We assume we'll get production funding to be able to start buying the tooling and equipment for production early next year, even though we've already locked our production design down. And then it'll take us 6 to 9 months to really start production. So if, say, you invest in the accelerator program and you end up being order number 1512 on that, it will take us some time into 2025 to deliver that vehicle to you.
Okay, so let's talk about that. They're saying they hope to deliver in late 2024 because they hope to get funding in early 2024 to get to full-scale production. So they're going to be making their PI builds in early 2024 and testing them. And remember, they said they had a couple of term sheets with large investors. They need a large amount of money to hire assembly line people and to do large scale supply ordering. So right now, they're going to be hand building, the engineers and stuff are going to be hand building the PI builds, and they're going to be order parts, a few at a time. But in order for them to order parts like thousands at a time and have an assembly line crew and staff up a full assembly line, they're going to need lots of funding. So they're hoping to get that early in 2024 and then get all those processes in place while they're testing the production intent vehicles and starting production in late 2024. Again, every timeline that any startup and any manufacturing company has said has never been on time. So late 2024 is probably a best case scenario. And then, so if he's thinking that if in the best case scenario, if they start production in late 2024, they're going to pump out maybe 1,500 in the first year because the ramp up is going to be fairly slow. And they're saying if you are like 1,500 on the list, you're probably getting it in like mid to late 2025.
Awesome. David from Colorado asked, following that question, how much advance notice will you get when your Aptera will be ready for pickup? What does the lead time look like so they can plan?
Yeah, thanks, David. I think around 3 months. That's kind of the ordering supply chain process to order all the parts to build your vehicle. So it will be slated for production. Your VIN number will be put into the system, all the parts will be there, and then we'll send you an email and say, hey, our manufacturing execution system says your vehicle will be delivered on June 16th. Please, arrange financing or give us a deposit, and we'll prepare your vehicle for delivery.
Great. A lot of reservation holders have either the 600-mile, 1,000-mile range on delivery, and we had a lot of questions about how much longer would one have to wait for the 600-mile version over the 400-mile version. That's from Arthur in California.
Arthur, great question. The first battery pack we're building is the 45 kilowatt hour battery pack. Gets you around 400 miles of range. The easiest next battery pack to build is the 25 kilowatt or the 250 mile range version, because we just take cells out of the bigger battery pack and then it becomes a lower capacity pack. The bigger capacity packs, the 600 and the 1,000 mile range, we haven't actually even received the cells from Asia to test and validate for those packs yet. We hope to receive those cells early next year and start, the design and validation phase for those packs. But we expect probably the first 5,000 vehicles that we build will be 400-mile range packs. So we won't start the 250-mile deliveries after that. And hopefully shortly after that, we'll start delivery of the 600 and 1,000-mile range versions of the Aptera.
So it doesn't give a time frame, but I mean, if you kind of read between the lines, it looks like 2025 is when they're going to try to push out the 400s. Maybe we're looking at 2026 for the 250s. And if everything works really well, they'll get the 600s, the 1000s in later 2026. Now, you guys know our benefactor DC, who is donating his accelerator spot to us. He's holding out for the 1,000 mile range. He really wants the 1,000 mile range, but that's probably going to be a while. They have to redo the suspension and everything for that because it's going to be a much heavier vehicle because the battery for the 1,000 mile is going to be much heavier than the battery for the 400 mile.
Great. Next question is, we're moving into pricing and affordability. Mike from South Carolina asked, well, the Volkswagen Beetle was a radical design and became one of the most popular vehicles in automotive history, with over 21 million made over 65 years in production, primarily because of its affordability. Volkswagen is now the largest car maker in the world. Is Aptera committed to the longevity of its radical design, and is Aptera committed to keeping its vehicle affordable like Volkswagen Beetle?
Thanks for the question, Arthur. Florida's a great place for Apteras. Lots of sunshine and plenty of wide open roads to drive the Aptera on. The average new electric vehicle these days is almost $60,000. So to be offering the 400 mile range Aptera for around $35,000, we think fits right into the marketplace very, very well. And the lower range Aptera, coming in, $26,000, $28,000, really fits into the modern kind of EV class vehicles. We think it will be affordable, not just from the purchase price, but also, the average American spending $7,000 a year on gasoline. So to not have that fuel cost for a lot of people is really going to make the Aptera an exceptional purchase from a cost efficiency point of view and long-term savings, total cost of ownership point of view. So we hope that we can build millions of Aptera over the years, and as Sandy Munro put it best, this is the next iconic vehicle like the VW Beetle, and I think we'll be right up there over time.
Thank you, Chris. And that was actually Mike from South Carolina.
Okay, so talking about price, Chris is still saying the $35,000. Now, obviously, that price is subject to change. And if you remember from my interview with Chris Anthony, he basically was saying that Aptera is going to follow the Tesla model of pricing, where they want to make a reasonable profit, but fluctuate the price based on their costs. So if their costs go down, the cost is going to go down. If their costs go up, cost is going to go up, and the price will change maybe on a every couple of months or so. You see Tesla changing their prices every couple of months, raising them and lowering them, and I think that's probably a reasonable way to go. Ideally, people like to have stable prices, and of course, everyone wants a really cheap vehicle, but they can't sell cars at below cost and remain a viable business. Now, his stats are, he's saying that the average EV cost is $60,000 a year. And that is because if you look at what EVs are being sold, most of them are Teslas. Teslas tend to be expensive, Model S, Model X. The more popular ones are the Model 3s and the Model Ys, but those are also fairly expensive vehicles. And then you have vehicles like Rivian and Lucid, and those are very expensive vehicles. So it's going to skew the prices. That's much more than the average car overall cost. Although the average car overall, including gas cars, is decently high. But everyone's going to have to admit that in terms of like passenger capacity and capability, those are more capable vehicles in terms of passenger and cargo capacity than the Aptera is. But the Aptera definitely isn't priced out at 35. And then he mentions that thing about $7,000 a year, that the average American spends $7,000 a year. That's probably a little bit on the high end. I think he's getting that information from the average American family. The average American household spends about $5,000 a year. That's the stats that I looked up. And the average American person spends about $150 to $200 a month on gas. And if you guys think about how much you spend on gas, it's probably in the 150 to 200 miles per week, per month on gas. So some people are going to be a lot more if you commute more and have a bigger vehicle. But if you look at the statistics, most Americans are spending about a little over $2,000 a year on gas per person. Household wise, it's about 5,000. So 7,000 is probably up on the upper end on a per family basis, not on a per car basis.
But hey.
Mike, where did I get Arthur from Florida?
Oh, he was the one before.
Oh.
No, that was great.
Thanks, Mike.
Sharon from Arizona is asking about financing. Will I need to find my own financing? If not, do I have to pay in cash?
Thanks for the question, Sharon. We're hopefully going to line up internal financing so you can finance it through Aptera. We'll probably be through a partner bank, and you'll basically fill out a loan, application with that bank that's kind of a preferred provider from Aptera. They know the vehicle, they know kind of the residual costs and all those things to kind of assess the loan against. We'd also love to offer a subscription to the Aptera that gets you the vehicle, it gets you the insurance for the Aptera and all the power you can use. So basically be able to give you a card so you can go to the supercharger, or you can go to the Blink or ChargePoint or whatever chargers are out there if you're taking long trips with the Aptera to get free fuel. But we need to find a financing partner for that, and that may take some time. But for the initial vehicles, and if you join the accelerator program, we'll ask you for a deposit first, and then any credit union will give you a loan, or bank that will finance a motorcycle will give you a loan. Some banks that we've talked to, if they don't finance motorcycles at all, it may be harder to get a loan for an Aptera because they're like, we don't do motorcycles, and you're going to hand them a VIN number for a motorcycle, and they're going to say, we don't do motorcycles. So expect that maybe if you have to get your own financing, but we will have an assured financial partner that can help you with financing along the way.
Okay, so that's something new that I hadn't heard before, that they're kind of pursuing a subscription model. That's interesting. So that would be kind of like a lease package where it includes the fueling and things like that. That's interesting that they're thinking about that. The other thing is they're looking for a finance partner so that you can finance through them. That's a question I've seen a lot of people ask in the comments from time to time. So it looks like they're well aware of that, and they're just going to partner with a bank. Explain to them what the Aptera is, and that bank will become their preferred provider. Or you can just go get your own car loan or quote motorcycle loan, because that's what they're going to get. That may be a little harder to get because it's kind of a weird new thing. And I'm guessing you're going to need probably fairly good credit to get financing. So if you don't have fairly good credit, I'm guessing you're going to have to find your own financing somehow, which is going to be tough. But we'll have to wait and see. I think that is kind of like off in the future. My guess is most of the accelerator people have the money to buy it with cash, because if you don't have the money to buy it with cash, you probably shouldn't be investing $10,000 in a risky thing like Aptera. So I think most of the accelerators are going to be able to pay cash up front for it. And so they really don't have to worry too much about financing for the first year or two after they start production.
And lots of people get loans on motorcycles all the time. Very expensive motorcycles too. So you buy a fancy, expensive $100,000 motorcycle, you still go to a bank and get a loan just like anything else.
Okay, before I go further, I just want to make sure everyone understands I am not an official Aptera representative, and these are just my thoughts on what they're thinking. It may be completely off, and you should not hold Aptera responsible for anything I say. And what I say may be completely wrong. But this is just as a avid observer and fan of Aptera, this is how I'm kind of interpreting Aptera's official answers.
Okay. Trick question. What is the difference between investing and the accelerator program?
Great question. You can invest anytime you'd like. Just go to aptera.us/invest. Whether you want to invest $200 or $1,000, we're humbled by the investments that have gotten us this far. Our crowdfunding, being the most successful crowdfunding in history of this type, is just amazing, and it's amazing what we've been able to do with those investments. But if you invest more than $10,000, if you go to aptera.us/accelerate, then you are in for the first 2,000 delivery slots for the Aptera. So a more than $10,000 investment, gets you put on the list for the first 2,000 delivery slots. And the more you invest, the higher you'll be on that list. So you'll receive your vehicle earlier. So if you invest $500,000 through that platform, then you'll be very high on that list, and you'll get your vehicle, very early in our delivery process. And if you can contribute $10,000 to the cause, investing, in the equity of Aptera as we grow, then you'll be ranked according to when you invest. So there's less than 500 slots left. So invest soon. Invest.
There's actually less than 400 slots that's available at the time that I'm recording this.
If you can.
And you also get a 5% discount off the purchase price?
If you invest $10,000, you also get a 5% discount on your vehicle purchase price. So obviously, over time, the vehicle may change in configuration, so we didn't want to put a dollar amount on it. But if you get the 1,000-mile range Aptera, you would still get that 5% discount on the Aptera if you invest more than $10,000. So
Great.
And the 5% discount is capped at $2,500. And also, if you invest an additional $2,000, then you get another $1,000 off. I think from now until I think end of December, maybe.
Andre from Canada, hi Andre, asked, can I fund the accelerator and decline one of the first 2,000 units?
Yes, if you want to wait, or your timing is not good, or you want a custom wrap that we aren't making available on the launch edition vehicles, or you want the longer range, you can invest in the accelerator program. Please do, and you can hold your spot till whenever. You still get the 5% discount on the vehicle, but you just tell us when you want to receive it, and we'll put you in line to receive the vehicle. So you may want the all-wheel drive 1,000-mile range version, or the black version Noir. If you want to wait for some of those features or things to come out, then we're happy to put you in line whenever you would like to be in line to receive your vehicle. Because you're an accelerator, but you still get all the cool accelerator stuff. So we'll still send you the book. We'll still send you whatever else we're including in the accelerator program. So you still get all the accelerator perks. You can just get your vehicle delivered whenever you would like it.
Awesome. We have a lot of questions from Canada, Australia, and European reservation holders. Bohan from the Netherlands said, there are about 33 early accelerators from Europe. Will Aptera facilitate in transporting the Aptera to Europe and to get the admission to be able to drive them on the road?
Homologation is a difficult thing in some countries. Some countries it's relatively easy. Some countries have exceptions for the first 100 vehicles of this type, or first 500 vehicles of this type. But every kind of country has a different set of rules. So we haven't started homologation for the EU yet, but we will as we get closer to production. And hopefully by the time we start, steady production and have vehicles really moving off the assembly line, we've already, gotten whatever certifications we need to have vehicles shipped to those places. But in the beginning, if you have accelerator spot number 1 or 10, you may have to get it into a place where it isn't fully homologated, and you may have to bring it in as a kit car disassembled or something like that. We don't really know what the nuances of that would be to get it into your country, but trust me, people have been importing strange vehicles to off countries for a long, long time, and there's always a way, though unfortunately sometimes it comes with a bit of cost, but we will go out of our way to help you get your vehicle to whatever country you're in, because the more Aptera are on the road, the more people are going to get excited about solar mobility, and the more people are going to put reservations and investments and support our goals for making the world a cleaner place through solar mobility.
My impression is that if you're in Europe or something, for the next several years, probably you're going to have to import the vehicle on a case-by-case basis, and I don't know how Europe deals with like kit cars or like unique cars. It's probably going to have to fit into that category. I don't think there's going to be widespread homologation in other countries for a while. If you guys think differently, let me know in the comments below. Tell me when you think they're going to do it. I mean, I think like this, like right-hand drive cars and like getting narrower cars that get homologated into Europe. That's going to be difficult for a while. I think Aptera is going to be concentrating in Canada and in America where the vast majority of the reservations are, and trying to deliver that, that's going to take up their time for the next 2-3 years for sure.
Right. A lot of people are excited about getting their vehicles, and they want to know if they'll have the opportunity to test drive it before Amy from California commits to purchasing.
Yes, obviously, if we give you a delivery date and ask you for a deposit or to get financing lined up, you can cancel that order anytime before you receive the vehicle, and we can schedule you for a test drive here, or if we have test drives remote because we're kind of doing a tour of Aptera, you can take a test drive wherever you like. We can also, if you have an early reservation slot, or if you have an accelerator slot, we could save that for a while if it took you some time to get to a test drive location or to get here for a test drive. We say, hey, we're going to deliver your vehicle on June 19th. You're like, well, I can't come for a test drive until August. Okay, well, we'll hold your slot and you let us know when you can come for a test drive, and we'll, say your vehicle's going to get delivered in September instead, so you can have a chance to test drive it before you actually purchase it. But it's a pretty flexible program. We just need to know what works for you.
Awesome. Next question is Peter from California asks, what are the specs of the first 2,000 vehicles?
Thanks for the question, Peter. It's a great question. The first 2,000 vehicles are launch edition vehicles by spec, except they come with some extra accelerator perks. The first 2,000 are going to be pretty special vehicles. They're not only going to be valuable, they're also historical, and they also come with some cool serialization. So you get custom serialization on the logo and I think in the door seal too. You get a lot of kind of accelerator memorabilia along with that package, but we also throw in some perks with the accelerator program too. So the enhanced audio, it is the all-wheel drive version, 400-mile range version of the vehicle with full solar. But am I forgetting any other stuff, Audra?
Well, Len asked what features and options can accelerators get, so such as will Open Pilot be available? Could I buy the pet and camping kit?
Oh, thanks, Lynn. You can add any of those options to the vehicle, in your configurator. They may just not be available at the time we ship your vehicle. So like Open Pilot, we hope to have it available really early on. The pet kit, we think we'll have available, right when the vehicle launches. The tent, the camping kit available right when the vehicle launches. But the off-road kit may take some time because there's some tooling involved with that to give you the off-road option. So it may take a while to start shipping the camping kit. But add the feature, and obviously we won't charge you for the feature until we can actually ship it to you. So just add the feature to let us know you want it, and then we'll deliver your vehicle. And any features that aren't available then, we'll ship them to you when they are.
Thank you.
All right, so it looks like pet kit, easy. Camping kit, probably easy. Open Pilot, not going to be available right at launch, but maybe soon afterward. And the off-road kit, I think that's way down the line as well. That's how I'm interpreting the thing.
Everybody's asking, what size are the tires on Aptera?
That's a great question, Audra. Did you ask engineering what the size of the tires?
Okay, so I don't think either one of them know. And maybe that's changed, but if it's anything like the Alpha and Beta vehicles, it's 195/45 R16s.
I did.
Well, you should tell them.
They're 16.
16-inch rims, and they're standard 155
PSI? Wait.
155
Sorry,
millimeters sidewalls. What's the actual tire spec?
I don't have it written down.
Oh, it's a standard tire. It's a lot like a Prius tire. It's on a 16-inch rim. You can go to Discount Tire or any other Tire America or whatever your tire shop is, and if you need an emergency tire. Obviously, we'll have a special formulation with our fancy hand-cooked tires, and they will be super eco. And hopefully they'll last you a long, long time, and you can keep those tires on your vehicle whenever possible. But if you need a tire in a pinch, there's lots of places to get the standard Aptera tire.
Okay, thank you. And then a question about battery upgrades. So if I were to purchase the launch edition vehicle as part of the accelerator program, get the 400-mile range, and then a couple years down the line, you're producing a new battery pack that maybe goes 600-700 miles. Do you think there's possibility I could upgrade my full pack with that one in my launch edition vehicle?
We don't think you would want to upgrade your pack in the launch edition vehicle. You just want to get a new Aptera. The packs are pretty integral to the vehicle, and you can replace them, and you can technically upgrade them. But the heavier packs will have different suspension attributes, so you have to change more than just the battery pack to get the same kind of performance out of the vehicle. Possibly different braking configurations too. So there is a bit more to it than just slotting in a new battery pack. It's not as plug and play as your AA batteries. But these first accelerator vehicles will be very, very valuable. So, I would think that they're going to hold their value. Think back to the early Teslas. I mean, they're still selling Tesla Roadsters for $200,000 and $300,000. So, imagine the first 2,000 Aptera being serialized and very special. We think they'll hold their value quite well. So, wait until we have the 600,000 mile range version, and then you can trade up.
Yeah, I think that the initial serialized vehicles actually will be valuable because it is somewhat of a landmark vehicle in automotive history. So I think they will be important. And yeah, you can't just switch out batteries because the weight is completely different, and so the suspension tuning has to be completely different.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about testing. Casper from Texas asked, what date do you expect to start crash testing of the production intent vehicles?
Thanks for the question, Casper. Obviously, testing the crashworthiness and that stuff is the top of mind. Unfortunately, we have a lot of other work to do before we really start that, and suspension calibration, brake calibration, ABS, that sort of stuff. It's got to kind of go through that before it starts to hit walls. And that will take us a little while. Hopefully we'll start to receive our first production intent builds early next year, and then we'll start to get with the suspension suppliers and the ABS suppliers and braking suppliers, and then airbag suppliers to actually run them into walls. But I would think it would be mid next year before we start to see some crash data. But we'll share that with the world, and obviously we want to show that Aptera is not just a safe vehicle, but one of the safest vehicles you can buy. So we'll want to show people those crash tests and how the vehicle works.
I'm so glad that they still sound very committed to the crash test, because every time I show people a picture of the Aptera, the first question they ask me is, that thing looks like a death trap. It looks unsafe. And I try to explain to them how, it's going to be a lot safer than they think. I mean, it's not as small as they think, and it's made in a way that should make the passenger compartment very strong so it doesn't have much intrusion. But anyway, the crash test will answer all those questions, and they seem like they're very committed to doing the crash test and releasing that information, which I think is going to be very, very important.
Okay. Lots of questions about cold weather testing too. Mike from Michigan asked, will you be doing a performance video to showcase the Aptera's winter capabilities?
We absolutely will, when it turns winter. So everything we've designed for, is for snow and ice. We're designing it in Italy. Lots of supercars have to be, snow and ice worthy too, because they're driven around Europe. So we think the Aptera will perform exceptionally well, but we probably won't have a lot to show for it until later next year.
Okay, a lot of people are worried about snow performance. I see those a lot. They're worried about snow getting built up in the wheel wells. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that, I used to live in Michigan and in Pittsburgh and in other Maryland and DC and things like that. So I've definitely driven in snow and things like that. And what problem happens is that the snow builds up in the wheel well, and the wheel well has to move up and down with the suspension, and sometimes it can jam up the wheels, and big chunks of it fall off and things like that. But that is a thing that does not happen with the Aptera, because the wheel does not move relative to the wheel well. It's very static. It's enclosed, and so when the wheel spins, it's gonna, like, worst case scenario, it's going to have a rim that's just like a few millimeters off of the a rim of ice that's a few millimeters off from the tire, but it will not impede the tire motion, because the tire will not impinge on it, because the tire does not move separately from the wheel well. Also, because it's enclosed, and the motor generates a significant amount of heat, and in the winter, the cooling system to cool the motors does not have to work hard, and the heat of the motor should melt enough of the thing to keep it clear. So I think that that is not much of an issue. Now we won't know until it gets into real world testing, but just from how I understand how the thing works, I don't think that's going to be an issue. And obviously, they're well aware of wanting to sell in cold climates, and although they are in San Diego, and there really is no such thing as winter in San Diego, that's not a thing. There's actually no summer in San Diego. It's always like 70 degrees and sunny in San Diego year round, which is why it's awesome. But there's neither summer nor winter in San Diego. But there are mountains in Southern California, and you can find snow, and you can find bad road conditions and snow and things like that. Just this past winter, the Southern California mountains got like 15 feet of snow in a few days. So I mean, that was very, very weird and rare. But they do get some snow every year, so they are going to be doing some snow testing, obviously.
Thank you. The next topic on top of everybody's minds, probably one of the most asked, is about service and maintenance. So Reginald from Maryland said, maintenance, what will it look like? And when will the service manual be available? Thought you could also touch on routine maintenance and the network of service technicians we're building.
Yeah, we hope with our drivetrain and the way regenerative braking works, the service intervals for the Aptera will be sparse. Hopefully up to 1 million miles on most of the serviceable items of the vehicle. So, in general, you'll be changing the washer fluid, the windshield wiper blades when they start to wear out, and your tires. Those are the real maintenance items for the vehicle. In the beginning, in populous areas, Southern California, we'll have mobile service vans that can help, Aptera owners with their service needs. We're looking for nationwide partners and possibly European partners too for service that can do kind of mobile service. It seems to be a growing trend where a lot of companies are doing that, and we're actively talking to 2 of them now. We think more conversations will, get going as we get closer to production. The service manual is something that we'll probably wait until we're deep into launching manufacturing. We'll learn a lot by putting together the first vehicles. Some of that information will go into the service manuals. So we don't think it's really worthwhile developing the service manuals until we start to build the first production intent vehicles and probably actually start production. So those service manuals are probably sometime later next year. But happy to share them with people who have reservations or are accelerator investors.
Myself and a lot of you guys are interested in Aptera. One of the big things we like is the right to repair. I mean, I've always been kind of a tinkerer, and I want to be able to repair the vehicles myself. And if they make it easy to do so, I plan on doing that. And I think many of you guys plan on doing that. I'm hoping this channel becomes a repository of videos, how-to videos on how to do maintenance and repair on the Aptera when it gets released. So that's one of the big goals that I have for this channel, is to keep like a video library of maintenance and repair videos for the Aptera. And hopefully, we guys can all kind of build that video repository as a community. But for those of you guys that don't want to do your repair, it looks like they are already talking to 2 partners and probably several more, and it looks like they're looking at mobile repair partners, and I think that's a wise move and a good way to do it.
Thank you. Okay, last question. It's from Archibald in Florida. He asked, when will Aptera go public?
Great question, Archibald. All of you great accelerator investors and Aptera investors alike would love to see the day when Aptera goes public and we're finally publicly tradable and everybody's excited in New York about solar mobility and are just eating up our stock. But it may take some time. We would love to kind of orchestrate an IPO that ties to the start of production. For a lot of reasons, we think will be a very exciting, growing company. And when we start to deliver our first vehicles, that's when people go, wow, solar mobility is happening. I really want to hop on this train to make the world a better place. But you got to line up the lawyers, you got to line up the accountants, you got to do a lot of things to make all that happen. Luckily, I've been involved with several IPO processes, and we've got a great team here. Recently took my lithium battery company public a few years ago, so we know the process, and we're talking to the right people, and have had some great trips to New York over the last few months to talk about just those topics. But if I was to project, I would hope that we would tie an IPO kind of towards the start of production.
Okay, I think that's really wise. For a little while, I thought, well, maybe they should have gone IPO back when EV stocks were really hot in like 2020. Um, and they could have gotten a lot of money then. I think if they did go IPO, they would have gotten some money. But I think in retrospect, it's better that they did it this way because they would have had a bunch of money. They would have been kind of in a time crunch to get to production, and I think they would have bled out their money at this point and come out with a not as good product. They would have probably come out with a honeycomb design. They would not have had time to get in with CPC, which I think was a great move for them overall. And so I think by going slower, I think we're getting a better vehicle and a better product. And then when they go to production, and they get IPO, that will fund them the money to get their like second and third assembly plants up and offset the losses, their R&D losses, so that they can become profitable. So I think that's the way it's happening. So hopefully, sounds like IPO is happening late next year, late 2024, maybe early 2025. And that's when all of us who have invested can realize our investment gains if we wish to, or you may just hold on to it for the long term. Who knows? Okay, well, that's the last question. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave me your comments below. Have a great day.